This is The Tea Project with your host, Gadiel and Michelle, a husband and wife duo where they will be discussing personal finance, managing a household, and so much more. Gadiel is a father, husband, a military veteran, and a lawyer. Michelle is a mother, wife, boss. Each week, they will be providing you with fresh and valuable content, so stay tuned. And now, welcome to The Tea Project.
Hey folks, welcome to another episode of Money Talks on Tea Project.
Hi everybody.
Today we have a fabulous episode. We're going to talk about different ways of tracking your finances.
All right.
I'm going to interview Michelle because she's our personal financial tracker in our household. So let's just get into it. Michelle, can you give us some of the ways that we can track our finances?
All right. So for those who are not, they're not, excited about their tracking their finances, which is probably many.
Well, listen, you make it sound boring.
Because it is. It is boring. I can admit that it's the truth. I mean, heck, if I could figure out, I wish I had software skills like IT skills, because then I can come up with like the best accounting or
the software
or a expense tracking, whatever you want to call it. They're out there.
Yeah.
One of them, you have Quickens. There's QuickBooks, mostly for business. You have Mint, which is probably the one we're going to touch on the most. And then you just have, your own, like
right.
on paper or
right.
on Excel. But me, if I had some IT, then I would create something probably a little bit better than Mint.
Are you saying that because right now, based on what your Quicken, QuickBooks for Business, and your own files, are you saying that there is no ideal software right now that I know of? Only Quickens. That's it. But is Quickens?
There's probably other competitors out there, but the problem with that is there's no manipulation. Like you can't manipulate. Create the information that you want. But then again, that's me, because I am I'm an accountant by nature, and obviously I'm gonna want to dissect every single little thing to the point where we're like, okay, how do we get to this next goal? How do we get to this next goal?
You have mentioned, before we get into the different ways, we've spoken about this before, about creating the perfect software for personal finances.
Or application, an app.
Or an app that you haven't seen yet. That just, this is the one.
Yeah.
Because they all sort of fall short in different areas.
Yes. Okay.
Well, let's get into, you know what, real quick, when you started laughing and you started saying like, this is mundane, this accounting stuff is mundane. Are you speaking in general about the industry, that it's, because there is stereotype, like there is the bean counter joke, and we make these jokes all the time.
It is. But the thing is that I'm just passionate about numbers. So for me, it's not anything that I don't find it mundane until I leave it then to the last minute, and then I'm like, crap, why did I wait till now? And that goes for our finances, that goes for work. Even now at work, we're dealing with creating a budget for a 36 department company, and all of it is on Excel. Wow. So, to try to compose all departments together and then put it all into one whole company wide, all on Excel, not through a software, that alone is mundane, and that's numbers.
Right.
So, if anybody knows how to build softwares, reach out to us.
Listen, leave a comment. Hey, if you're an IT person and you build software or application, shoot us a message in the comments section. Well, let's get into it then. Let's talk about. So, you mentioned Mint.
Okay, so Mint is, I think, by far the most user-friendly and one-stop shop application that is out in the market. Basically, because you say you have a bunch of credit cards and you have a bunch of bank accounts. Maybe either you have it in one bank account or you have several bank accounts. the fact that you can get all of them to merge into one login or one file or one account, which would be your Mint account, that right there saves money and it saves time. Because number one, you're not sitting in front of your desk and trying to figure out like, how do I reconcile my bank? How do I reconcile my credit cards? Because for you to be able to find out how much you spent on something, let's say, how much did I spend on eating this month, or how much did I spend on vacation or whatever, you have to actually go and start recording each and every single one of the transactions, tally them up, and then you come up with your expenses, your total expenses. So what Mint does is once you get when you get your account created, you bring in all your accounts from all your different banks. So if you have Bank of America, Chase, American Express, whatever, all of them, you could have 50 million of them, and they will all come into that account. So the nice thing about Mint is that you can go to the report section, and you'll have like pie graphs, little line bars or graphs or whatever, and it'll tell you like, over this period of time, this is how much you've spent. Or in this period of time, here's a pie, and then it'll show you 10% went to this, 5% went to that. Whatever the case is.
Right.
So you're not having to go into each account. It's all in one. The thing too is that it helps you track your net worth, which is important.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, the last thing you want is to be completely indebted and then have no assets to show for it.
Right.
So for instance, you may have a mortgage, you may have a car loan, you may have student loans. The way you substantiate the student loans, hopefully, is through your income. And then the way that you substantiate for your mortgage, obviously, is through the value of your home, and then your car loan through your car. Mm-hmm. So at the end, when you've brought in all your accounts, and then you... Sorry, the dog just distracted me.
our Luna, our sheepadoodle's out here playing with their little squeaky toy. So.
Oh boy. So, where was I again?
Well, here, let me ask you this. You, the first thing you mentioned is that you can add up to 1 million accounts. Yeah. What if I only had, one bank account at one bank, right? BOA, Bank of America, and I have only one credit card, Amex. Is it still worth using Mint?
Absolutely. Okay. It does, even if you have one.
Doesn't matter.
And the reason is because if you wanna set goals for yourself, or you wanna build credit or anything like that, you're just gonna continue adding to it. Okay. And then you at least start to build history in the app. Mm-hmm. So that it can start seeing your behavior, your spending behavior. Mm-hmm. And then you can start to gauge in there, okay, this is how much I've spent last year and the year before that. And then you can start to say, wow, I really spent a lot on going out to eat, or I really spent out a lot in entertainment. Then I know this year I need to focus on bringing that expense down more. Mm-hmm. And then, I want to save for a home. Well, now you're going to have to bring in your mortgage company, the login for that information. So you're going to want to start building that in there. Right. And then as you start to gain more assets, you want to also keep that too. Now, one of the good things with Mint is that when you put in your house, I think it's attached to Zillow, which means that it's constantly being updated with the Zillow market value. Got it. So that number is what's being used to calculate your net worth. And then the same thing goes for your car, because your car will be then attached to the Kelly Blue Book. Okay. So that lets you kind of know, like, oh man, my car is only worth this much. I need to keep that car a little bit longer, finish paying off my car loan, and then keep it where I'm not paying for a car payment for a period of time. And then I'll consider selling the car and see where it's at. But that's a good a plus on that end.
To add to the net worth, like I do estate planning. Part of my practice is estate planning, and we like to know the net worth. Like how much is each person worth? I hate to say it like that, but what are you worth? What are your assets worth? Mm-hmm. So Mint could take some consideration. Your what are your assets? What they're worth, like the house, you said, it gives you the Zillow, the market value, the car, Kelly Blue Book. So your assets are worth $300,000, and then it also counts your liability. The mortgage gets fed into Mint, your car loan gets fed into Mint, and at the end it gives you your net worth at the end. If you're negative, we got some problems.
Yeah.
If you're in the positive, you're doing great.
Yeah.
So it gives you that snapshot. Hey, if someone says, "Hey, what's your net worth?" Well, give me a second. Let me go to Mint. I'll tell you right now. But you can do that. No, is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
That's cool. That's pretty cool.
Now, when you ask me, if there was somebody who just only had one bank account, I would even say, as far as a teenager should already start opening up a Mint.com account.
Yes.
Because the moment that they start to work and they open up their bank account, they can already start seeing like, okay, look how much money I'm making now. Mm-hmm. And then the idea is that you start to instill little benchmarks of your own, mm-hmm. so that every year you're looking at, okay, I'm doing better in my spending. I'm focused on my goals. My goals are to own a house at this point, or maybe buy rental property by this point. So I need to save X amount of money by this point or whatever. And then, or you may even have a goal of by the age of 30 or the age of 40, I want to get to $1 million worth.
Right.
So this is a good tracking device.
Right.
I don't want to say tracking device, a tracking app or whatever that will help you in making decisions as well. So
okay, does it also take in consideration any brokerage accounts or stocks or any of those accounts? Yes,
you want to put in all your investment accounts, retirement, your stocks, any of that kind of, because all that, what it's doing is increasing your net worth.
Gotcha.
So while you have your bank account, you have your checking account and a savings account, and then you also have your mortgage, student loans, any debt or whatever. You don't want to forget that you also, if you do have a retirement account, mm-hmm. because that's going to actually put you in the plus, hopefully.
Right.
Assuming that you're keeping the value of your asset near, if not more than your debt, right, that you're holding. So that's Mint. And the other thing too that Mint does is it shops around for you.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
Does it have, so explain a little bit what that means, shopping around.
You can actually go onto the website even now. You don't have to actually create an account, but you can go in there now and you can filter out, your certain things. Like, let's say if you're looking for a new credit card because you might want to do a balance transfer or you want to build credit, then you can look for certain filters on there where it'll say like no annual fee or no transaction fee or low interest rate or anything, or rewards, whatever that is. And right, it'll populate with a bunch of different credit cards, and they're all legitimate right, credit cards. You're not going to find any.
And it's like current,
at least I haven't found any.
Exactly.
I haven't found any scams. So you'll see like Citi in there, Capital One, Discover, any that you can think of, but they'll put the top best ones for
right,
you.
Based on the filters.
Right. And then not just for credit cards, they'll do it for personal loans, they'll do it for student loans, investment accounts, and checking accounts.
That's incredible.
And savings accounts,
I mean, there's a lot of value there.
Yeah. So they have articles on there, or they have a blog. They have an app. So really all I do is like in the morning, I'll probably just, and I use it. I mean, we use it. Sometimes we have to go in there and refresh our accounts, but we go in there, I open up the app, and I hit refresh, or it automatically just starts refreshing, and then it tells you like, wait 1 minute while your transactions refresh. And then when you look at it, then you start to see, okay, my bank account's getting a little better, or oh man, my bank account is getting bad.
Right.
I need to calm down on the spending. What else does it do? I think that's the majority of what.
So that's Mint in a nutshell. Mm-hmm. Aside from it, what other way can we use? What other method can we use to track our finances?
So there's also, by the way, the Mint, at least the version I'm using, I believe they have others that you pay for, but mm-hmm, the one that I use, which is pretty much what I just described to you.
Okay.
That's what the basic is free.
Okay.
The security is pretty good, mm-hmm, that I know of so far, and I've been using it for
a long time.
I don't know, maybe
years.
10 years or something like that.
At least.
When it first came out, yeah.
Right.
So I don't think it was even Intuit yet. It's now called Intuit Mint.
No, it wasn't.
Just Mint
it was
before.
not. Yeah, it was not part of Intuit.
Now, it has budget features on it, so you can set your own budget. It has trackers on there, savings trackers too, so that if you wanted to save for something, it'll kind of show you like a little thermometer that tells you, you're reaching your goal or whatever. Okay, so that's Mint. The other one is Quickens, and Quickens you can either do it online or you can actually buy the software and install it in your computer. My reservations about that is that it's not mobile unless I buy the online one.
So now you got to pay for it now.
Yeah, and then both, yes, you do have to pay for them. And I almost feel like for free, Mint is pulling the information themselves.
Right.
Quicken will move the information themselves too, but I find it more cumbersome and less user-friendly. So for somebody who really doesn't want to invest any time extra on tracking their finances, I'll tell you right now, I'm not a big fan of Quickens. Yeah.
Tell me real quick, that's just the difference about Quickens and
Quickens will probably give you a lot more reports.
So
but like
this
I said,
is probably higher level, not entry level.
Yes.
Let me start tracking my finances.
Correct.
Quicken is not the one to start off.
Not if you're just looking for what's the easiest way to track.
I want the easy.
Yeah.
I'm not a finance major or accounting major. I just want my information snapshot, maybe some budgeting tools or alerts about certain transactions, but I'm not trying to get a degree in finance or accounting.
Right.
Mint's for me.
Yeah.
So Quickens, you don't recommend that? It doesn't work for you?
Doesn't work for me. I've had it, I think maybe 2 times I've purchased it, and I look back and I'm like, what a waste of money. It truly is. Because for you to have Quickens, it's because you're pulling information into Excel, and then after the transactions have been put in, and then you're manipulating it so that you can get the actual information that you want. Like what you have in question in your mind, it's not necessarily going to be what the reports will put out for you. I'm not saying that they're not going to give you the right information. They're just not going to give it to you, or not going to present it to you in a way that it's easy to answer specific questions.
Gotcha.
So on our end, besides using Mint, the fast track type of thing, if I haven't, reconciled, then that's my place to go to. Or if a deposit went in, or if a payment went through, that's my place to look. I don't go to, unless I'm at my desk, then I'll log into the individual account, and then I'll look, the transaction cleared.
Okay. Right. For specific things. You wouldn't go there just to check things out. You just go to Mint.
But if I'm on the go, the best thing ever.
That's the best thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So we talk Quicken, Mint, and is there another way to track your finances?
At some point, we were using QuickBooks. It's for business related, but we were using it even for personal. Yes. I found the same problem going on with Quicken. Tongue twisters. Yes. But the thing about that is that QuickBooks doesn't, it's not Excel friendly. And you might not know if you haven't figured it out already. I'm like an Excel.
Listen, this lady here, this girl here is an Excel. She probably needs to go like to rehab for Excel, because she's on Excel, and when I look at her file, it has like 1,000 tabs at the bottom. If you're a person who uses Excel and you like 1 or 2 tabs, okay, she's the opposite. She needs to have like 1,000 tabs open.
Because I need to have it all in one file. I can't have this whole thing of having 30 million different files. They need just all be in there. So since we're on that topic, to give you, obviously you can't see it because this is a podcast, but or a speaking podcast. But the way my file looks is we pretty much have all the bank accounts. They each have their own tabs. And I reconcile each of them individually, and I even put future transactions on them. And I think that's like the most important piece of it, because especially like where we have multiple banks and we have multiple bank accounts within the banks, I like to see, how sometimes I'll come to you and I'll tell you, oh, look, we're going to get in the red in about 2 months. We need to figure out what are we going to do. Because I don't like to keep too much cash in our checking account. So they'll think that we're going broke every single time.
You got to give a disclaimer.
Because I try to keep the checking account at a very low balance or average daily balance down to zero, because they don't pay that much interest on there. Yeah. I only keep enough cash in there to pay for our bills.
Right.
So
it's an operating account.
Correct. Yeah. So I will always have more cash in our savings account or in or paying credit cards, because you're going to pay higher interest there.
Right.
Than to sitting in the checking account. So what I'll do is I'll have, I have transactions in there, future transactions that lead up to like maybe 2025.
Right. Crazy. I told you, folks. Her Excel, she has it in there that we're paying some payment regarding a mortgage or whatever.
As 10 years till the day, now. No, till the day the mortgage is over. Off. Yeah. Right. And so sometimes I'll come to you and I'll tell you, okay, we're in the red, so we need to calm down on the spending, or we need to right. Or we need to do a balance transfer to offset some of the cash flow or whatever. I know that sounds silly to do, because technically we should be doing it from the savings, which we do. But in some cases we do bank balance transfers.
Right.
Some cases. So most of the tabs will look that way. And then I even have where we are tracking our investment account, like our stocks.
Yeah.
Our brokerage account. So in there, I've got it all, like all the transactions that we've incurred or whatever, and it tells us, what we spent, how much stocks we have, what's the market value, what are realized gains or unrealized gains, so that we can keep track and make sure that we're keeping track of our, our benchmarks and our rules for investing and all that. And then I also even have our tax information. Like tax planning,
right,
in there. So it's very diverse. I don't know that Mint does the tax piece of it.
When I hear this, it sounds like Mint is beginner, Quicken is probably intermediate, and then what you're talking about now is like high level,
super advanced. Yeah.
With you got tax planning in your spreadsheets.
Because I even track my paychecks. That's how much detail I get into. Oh my God!
You see, folks. You see what we're dealing with here.
Yes.
We should do a
But that's why I'm telling you, if you're an IT person, please reach out to me, because I have the next best idea.
We're thinking about it. We've been talking about this for a little bit now. Is creating an app with Michelle's vision of what all these different personal finance tracking methods we talk about, but they're all missing something,
Yeah.
And we need one that kind of encompasses
all of
them.
Yeah.
So, well, any other method of finance tracking?
I would say those would be the top two, and then the other two would be either on Excel or on paper. Okay. I mean, I remember my dad. He actually, first of all,
I think I know where you're going with this.
My dad, I would always see him with the little checkbooks.
Yeah.
And that's how he would reconcile. And
that's old school.
It was. And I also remember being as a child.
Still efficient.
That's only when you have one bank account.
Yes,
that works. But if you have a lot,
when you're old school, you're dealing with one institution. You're not dealing with like 1,000. You're.
Yeah. You're right. I remember though growing up thinking to myself, I was like, is anybody going to teach me how to reconcile a bank?
That's funny that you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Because they don't teach that in school.
They don't teach you that in school.
And I think we need to do an episode on that.
Yeah.
A lot of the things that you're talking about, honestly, what I'm hearing, this needs to be done in high school, man.
Absolutely.
Has to. Talking about bank account, credit card, these softwares, these apps.
I think, in fact,
come on.
that in addition to me just liking business overall, I think that method, or not method, what am I talking about? That thought that came to my mind then, it was in high school, is what then triggered me to look into accounting, because once you take the accounting classes, I was taking them in high school already. That's where I learned to reconcile a bank.
So then you notice your dad doing the checkbook.
And I'm like, why are you doing a checkbook? Yeah. And him using a computer, I think wasn't until like the late, like 2005,
in the 2000s. Yeah,
2006 or something like that. Yeah. Maybe even later. But
you know what though? They're a good example as far as them being old school accounting, your dad doing old school accounting. That if your dad worked over 20 something years in the airline industry, where he retired, and he saved. They're the good saving family, and they had enough to buy their home, cash. There's a lot of value, I think. Like if we interviewed your dad, I think it'd be a lot of value. It's old school method, but they're sound.
Right.
They're sound practices. Well, anything else? Any closing remarks? Anything else you want to add in there?
Nope, I don't have. I think just you got to look for what fits your.
Doing nothing is not an option.
Exactly.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, because at the end of the day, I'm like, if you wanna keep it in a notebook, that's fine. If you wanna keep it on scrap paper that you're gonna eventually throw away, that's fine. But I think the most important thing is that you have to set goals for yourself, financial goals, and you're not gonna do it by not keeping track of it.
Right. That's a good point. Well, folks, we appreciate you tuning in. If you like what you heard, please leave a comment. If you want to hear something different, in the future, please let us know as well. And if you have any different platforms or apps that you use for your personal finance tracking, please let us know down below so that everybody else can benefit from that. Okay, thanks, folks. Stay safe, and God bless.
God bless.